Hello everybody and welcome back to the video. I'm your host OT, and well, we all know that Doctor Who has been cancelled, and what great news this is. In fact, when I heard, I can't believe that I would actually be happy to hear that Doctor Who has been cancelled after the endless mess that we've had for God knows however many years, since around 2018, the second they hired Jodie Whittaker. I know it started to wane a bit earlier than that, and the wokeness started to show, but Jodie Whittaker, when they cast her, that's when I knew it's screwed. So today we are announcing an update on the plans for Doctor Who. Well, that being a few weeks ago. As part of securing the next phase of the show for future generations, and in line with the British Borg Collective's charter and agreement requirements, the BBC will put Doctor Who out to competitive tender this year. Doctor Who remains an important part of the BBC, and this tender underpins the BBC's continued commitment to Doctor Who, ensuring audiences will enjoy the show for years to come. And after careful consideration, Russell T Davies and Bad Wolf have collectively decided to not go ahead with this previously announced Doctor Who Christmas episode. And this has not been taken lightly, and we know this will be disappointing for the minority of shills. But in order to set the show up for future series, it was decided rather than bridge the gap with a one-off special, we're choosing to push forward and invest in long-term future of the show, which ensures that when the TARDIS lands once more, it does so in all its glory. But this is the problem. There is no glory. After what happened with Billie Piper returning, there is no way the show can return to what it once was. And that's the same with even before, when Ncuti Gatwa was the Doctor. I didn't enjoy a single episode. I just wanted this eternal torture to just end, because it was that bloody awful. Like, at the end of one episode, I remember rewatching clips of Matt Smith and reciting some of his monologues, just to remember the good old days. But yeah, this comes after last year. Doctor Who and Communist Plus, and Doctor Who ended the partnership with. This was when the Christmas special was confirmed, but as we all know, that didn't happen. And people are trying to cope with it. So, Stephen Moffat himself, Doctor Who is definitely returning. Now, all respect for Stephen Moffat, because, you know, I preferred his Matt Smith run very much to, I think his run as a writer. His run as a writer was the one that I hold most dear to me, because that's the Doctor Who I grew up knowing. You know, Matt Smith was the Doctor I watched growing up. So speaking about the future of Doctor Who, Stephen Moffat was clear: Doctor Who's not being cancelled, but he did, however, acknowledge that fans are right to be disappointed by absence of a Christmas special. Yes, the Christmas special's been cancelled. Well, to be clear, not all of Christmas. The day will still take place, and quite honestly, I'm not altogether sure why they bothered doing that. He continued, but yes, Christmas, and that's a black mark. I don't like the fact there's not going to be a Christmas special. There should always be a Christmas special, but there's not going to be that. But the problem is here that the last Christmas special we had with Claire from Derry Girls was dreadful. Like, it just mocked Christianity as a whole and history, and made a joke of the Silurians. You know, Moffat drew a direct contrast with the long gap between the end of the classic series in 1989 and the 2005 revival. This is not like, for those of us old enough to remember, when there were 16 years of, well, maybe we'll tell you something next week. That it's not that situation. Then he argued that the phrase "put out to tender" has been misunderstood. Right, so put out to tender is not out to grass. out to tender means actively seeking a future for Doctor Who. There is a future, and it's used by us fans. Right, us fans are definitely the solution, because, you know, you have my written works, you've got there's this AI Doctor Who channel who's gonna redo the Tennant specials in their own way. It's called What If We Wrote It? It's a great channel. I recommend you check them out. I was brought onto them by, you know, another channel that I follow. And that is the most excited I've been for Doctor Who in years. And that was AI. Like, more excited than I was for my own work. And then people are trying to cope with this, as Russell T Davies tries to calm everyone on the future and Doctor Who with this review with Gadio! Oh, shorty, it's amazing!
I want to sort of pour a bit of water on all this sort of hoo-ha that's come from it. The show is not cancelled.
No, it's extraordinary to see newspapers who should know better seeing the show has been cancelled.
He's in denial. He's in so much denial. Like, he did an interview with Gary Davis on Radio 2 a fair few weeks before the statement was to come out. And he just, I don't know, he just panicked. Like, he said, "Oh, don't worry, I could cast a Doctor with twinkly eyes," and he recommended Gary Davis was the Doctor. Yeah, no thanks, mate. You can see why I switched over to Boom Radio.
It's the opposite. It's been put out to tender.
Yes.
And I understand that's an industry phrase, and people might not understand what a show being put out to tender means. Equally, at the same time, those people are complaining on devices which have a search engine. Go and look.
Oh, yes, of course, we must blame the evil, toxic fandom for everything that they do, because they're so evil, and they're so wrong to call me out on my bad writing decisions, and me choosing to put my own politics instead of telling a good story.
You know, being put out to tender means, and this will happen to every BBC show. It's happened to Casualty. It's happened to The Weather.
The Weather?
What?
The Weather was put out to tender. Do you know The Weather now is not made by the Met Office on the BBC?
I thought it had gone back.
Oh, has it gone back?
Oh, we're going really into
I
the
missed that. We're getting
nitty-gritty
into
of the
tenders
BBC now.
Well, what it means is the programme is pitched to be made by an independent company.
Yes.
As opposed to the BBC. Independent companies include BBC Studios, by the way, which
Right.
is separate to BBC.
Wouldn't it be nice if Doctor Who went to Angel Studios, but after what they did with Animal Farm? Probably not.
Service. So they're in the running.
Or better yet, how about we have a Japanese studio or one of the Korean drama studios, because they're brilliant. You know, I've just started watching the Wondrous Attorney Wu. It is about an autistic lawyer. And I watch it on Bilibili, where you can watch stuff that you'd find on Netflix for free, because Bilibili's Chinese YouTube.
I imagine, I don't know, I'm not part of this process, because it's a very legal process, but it's happened to Casualty. Casualty has been sitting there for years as a BBC show. It was put out to tender last year. Now that's going to be made independent.
Casualty was also cancelled as well. The other thing to point out as well is that there was no script. I never wrote it, and there was no actor ever approached to play the next Doctor. So if they can't even cast the next Doctor, there's no point in even making a show in the first place. Unless it's about a companion in a Doctorless episode. So there is no way that any of that... So that should have been the first indicator that it was going to be cancelled. Doctor Who, I'm just so glad to see the back of it now. And a few days before, I seem to remember a channel talking about a rumour. So some of you might know Type 40. They heavily discussed this rumour that Russell was leaving and that Doctor Who was going to be cancelled. And then I think a few days before, there was going to be a draft statement saying that, all these things that were probably going to happen, but they weren't. And we found out, obviously, that Doctor Who's been cancelled, and I feel all the happier for it. Doctor Who's been dead for years, and the war between the land and the sea, no one cared about that either. Quite frankly, it just wasn't relevant. The only way that Doctor Who can continue is for us fans to create our own work. If Doctor Who doesn't come back, then that's more than fine with me. I don't think there's anything that can be done to restore it to its former glory other than a timeline reset, which they're probably never going to do we've got to remember that Jodie Whittaker's Doctor existed. The lore and the programme has been damaged beyond repair, beyond regeneration, let's say. So, I'd like to thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you all later. Ta-ra!